2025 has been a busy year. I've lost count of how many phones I've tested over the year, and the team have covered even more than I have. We've had our hands on almost everything, from Google and Samsung to OPPO and Motorola, and we've even picked up the iPhone this year. There isn't anything that we haven't had a play around with. So it makes sense that we come up with our own list of our favorite phones of 2025, and anything that was released from January 1st this year up until the moment that I record this video is eligible to win the Editor's Choice Award. But it is not just me picking these favorite phones of the year. There are 12 other people that work at Android Authority who are all having their input and having their say on what they think is their favorite phone of the year. And the way we picked our favorite phones was just through ranked choice voting, and that was the fairest way to find out what the best phone of 2025 was. There is also the Reader's Choice Award as well, because without you guys watching and reading, we kind of don't have a job and we're nothing. So it's always interesting to see what you pick as your favorite phone of the year. So let's get into the list, and let's start with 5th and 4th place. And these places go to the Pixel 10 Pro and the Pixel 10 Pro XL. It's not a shock that Google's flagships make it onto the list, and I actually think that they're really fairly placed this year. The Pixel 10 Pro came in 5th and the 10 Pro XL came in 4th place. Let me start by saying what I said when I first picked up these phones. I think that they are the best designed Android phones that you can get, and I will always love that camera visor design. Google added some great additions this year, so Pixel Snap being one of them, and that is something that I have used every single day for charging and accessories. Adding quicker charging as well is maybe my favorite upgrade this year, because that Pro gets to about 50% in 30 minutes and the XL gets to 70% in that same time, so quicker charging was so needed here. And as far as the batteries go, now they're not silicon carbon, but they are the best batteries that you can get in a non-folding Pixel. What will always get a Pixel on this list though is its software, and I think this is probably one of the best software experiences you can get on an Android, and I actually think it's probably one of the biggest reasons to pick up a Pixel alongside its camera. Material 3 Expressive added some nice changes, and my favorite was those customizable quick settings. And you still get those exclusives like now playing, call screening, and the 100x ProRes zoom. And the cameras are still one of the best that you can get. You always know what you're going to get with a Pixel camera, but Google do need to make sure that they aren't left behind, because we have had some impressive cameras on phones this year. I think there is a couple of reasons why these phones aren't placed higher on the list. There was the fact that the Tensor G5 wasn't that much of an upgrade, and not all of the new AI features quite lived up to the hype. And of course, there was no SIM slot for these Pixels in the US. And can we just remember one more time how bizarre the launch event for these phones actually was? Tensor G5! So I think that the Pixel 10 Pro being in 5th and the Pixel 10 Pro XL being in 4th is a fair place for these phones this year. Let's move on and have a look at the phone that finished in 3rd place this year. And this is the phone that has probably been in my pocket the most out of anything since I got my hands on it, and it is the Galaxy Z Fold 7. I'm very happy that a foldable has made it into this list, because this year Samsung knocked it out the park with this one. The Z Fold 7 is the best foldable Samsung has released, and arguably it's the best foldable that you can pick up in the US right now. The cover display moved to 6.5 inches and finally got a more usable aspect ratio, which made the phone just much nicer and easier to use in your hand. The inner display got a nice bump as well, and that jumped to 8 inches. And honestly, for multitasking, having 3 windows open at once on this is just the only way it should ever work on a foldable. And of course, the biggest change to the entire phone was that Samsung made this thin, so unfolding it, it is just 4.2 millimeters when it is unfolded. Like, that is ridiculously thin. This finally caught up to the Chinese brand foldables and showed people exactly what a foldable should look and should feel like. You get all of that and then sprinkle on top One UI, and this is why it's made the list, and it's probably my favorite foldable of the year, and it's the phone that's been in my pocket the most. There are downsides. The battery is not the best, there is no S Pen support, and it's still very expensive at $2,000. This is definitely the biggest jump though between generations for a Samsung foldable, and I think that's why it sits quite happily in 3rd place this year. Now, 2nd place, this was really close because the Z Fold 7 only missed out by 1 point into 2nd spot, but the phone that is taking 2nd is the OPPO Find X9 Pro. I said when I reviewed this phone that for me, it was the phone of the year. And while it didn't quite grab first place, I'm really happy it's taken second. I just want to list the specs of this phone. A 7500 mAh battery, a 200 megapixel zoom lens, a 6.78 inch 120Hz AMOLED display, 80 watt wired charging, and a minimum of 512 gigs of storage. Like, what else could you ask for in a phone? And I think this is why it ranks so high on the list. It stands out as one of the best cameras on a phone this year. It's really hard to take a bad photo on this. Like, it is really consistent between lenses, which I love. Even for fun, OPPO gave us a Hasselblad extendable attachable lens for this, which uses that 200 megapixel telephoto camera. But the biggest standout for me on the phone by far is that 7500 mAh battery. Like, this thing is unkillable. During my time with it, I didn't have to worry about it running out of battery once. And in fact, I don't really remember a time where it hit 20%. Like, that's a challenge in itself. It is a beast of a battery. And then you add in the 80 watt fast charging, and it just means that you literally never have to worry about battery on this phone. It has a display that can do 3600 nits of peak brightness. It has smaller bezels than the Pixel and the S25 Ultra, and it's powerful enough with the MediaTek Dimensity 9500. Like, if I could build my perfect phone, then this would be really close. There really aren't that many downsides to this phone. It is a little bit expensive, but I even enjoyed using Color OS this year, and I think that's why this phone ranks so high, because it is almost a complete perfect phone, and I think it quite happily takes second place. Before we get to what is first place in the Editor's Choice Award, the Reader's Choice Award was very interesting this year, and you've been voting on this over on Threads, on Twitter, on YouTube, and the Android Authority website, and we had 38 phones to pick from in the first round of this. From that 38, it was whittled down to a semi-final of just 4, so the Galaxy S25 Ultra, the Pixel 10 Pro, the Pixel 10 Pro XL, and surprisingly, the iPhone 17. What's interesting though with the votes is that if people had just rallied around one of the Pro Pixels, then they would have walked away with this, like, hands down. But in the final, those two phones didn't actually make it. Instead, the votes were too spread. So it came down to the Galaxy S25 Ultra, which is no surprise to see in this list because it has won the Reader's Choice Award for as long as I can remember now, all the way back to the Galaxy Note days. It only didn't win 1 year in 2022. But surprisingly, what is interesting is that in the other final of these two phones was the iPhone 17. We get called Apple Authority every time we mention an iPhone or praise it, but the iPhone 17 did make it into the final two here from you guys who read and watch what we do. When it came to the final two though of the S25 Ultra and the iPhone 17, there's going to be no surprise here that the S25 Ultra absolutely smoked the iPhone 17 in the final voting. The S25 Ultra might have been one of the first major releases of the year, but even now, it's a phone that can do almost everything that you need and a little bit more. I said at the start of the year that the S25 Ultra had the best display on a phone, and seeing some of the comments from you guys, you tend to agree on this. The anti-reflective coating is still one of the best on any phone, and I always think that this for games or watching content is just better than any other phone that I've tried this year. Plus, that Snapdragon 8 Elite for Galaxy really gives you all the power that you're ever going to need on a phone, and it benchmarks as high as anything else that was released. Samsung also fixed the biggest complaint of the S24 Ultra, and that was those sharp edges. It gave us something that was a little easier to hold. And One UI is still up there as one of the best Android skins, and Galaxy AI gives you some of the best AI features that you'd need in an Android flagship. And the reason that I think that the Galaxy Ultra phones keep winning this every single year is that people just like big phones that can do absolutely everything. And the S25 Ultra, it kind of does do that. Personally, on the phone next year, I think I'd like to see a bigger battery and some more refined cameras, but I am not one to argue. And that is why the S25 Ultra sits at the top of the Reader's Choice Awards. So that brings us down to what our favorite phone of the year is of the Editor's Choice Awards. But before we get to that, I do want to give some phones some honorable mentions. The Razr Ultra from Motorola for being maybe the best flip phone that you could get. The Nothing Phone 3 for being unique. And the Xiaomi 15 Ultra for being one of the best cameras that you can get. And dare I mention it, the iPhone 17 for maybe being the best value you can get in a phone. But taking first place of the Editor's Choice Awards 2025 is the OnePlus 13. Even though this was the first phone of the year to release, I didn't think anyone was expecting it to be as good as it was. And that's why even at the end of the year, we still think that the OnePlus 13 reigns supreme. One of its standouts was the 6,000 mAh silicon carbon battery and its 80-watt charging speed in the US. Like, this was impressive. It also had a design that I think everybody loved, that vegan leather midnight blue. Like, I still think that this might be the best color of a phone released this year. OnePlus did so much right with this phone though. The fact that they brought back wireless charging and then gave it its official IP rating again with IP68 and 69. The OnePlus 13 even had a flat 6.82 AMOLED display, which was lovely. OnePlus even went back and refined bits of Oxygen OS, and we got open canvas for multitasking. It has the Snapdragon 8 Elite, so it's as powerful as some of those bigger named flagships. And the cameras, they stacked up with the likes of the S25 Ultra and the Google Pixels. The best thing about this though was the price. It was $899 when it was released, and that gave you a flagship level experience without having to pay a flagship level cost. Like, it undercut the S25 Ultra by a couple of $100, and you still got arguably as good of an experience with the OnePlus 13. The only downside really might be that it gets 4 years of software updates. But besides that, this was voted first and second by almost every single member of the team. So quite rightly, the Editor's Choice Award for 2025 is the OnePlus 13. And that is it. We have tested as many phones as humanly possible in 2025, and there's no more releases for the rest of this year. However, we are starting to see some of those 2026 releases trickle through already. Like, you'd have seen the Galaxy Z Trifold hanging about, so that'll be an interesting one to see. But let me know in the comments, do you agree with any of our picks this year, and would you have picked the OnePlus 13 as first place? I'm interested to see what you think. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, then do that already before you head off, and if you have done that, then I'll see you in the next one.